Akhil, you can start
Oh yeah.
your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Should I start it again or like? Oh yeah, fine. Just to give me a second. Well, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me start a quick intro about me. Then we'll move towards the whole Google Summer of Code thing. So the first thing is I'm Akhil, final year undergrad, pursuing a bachelor degree in computer science engineering from Calcutta University. And I'm a cloud computing enthusiast and also a web developer with a strong passion for learning about new technologies. And this year, I was selected for Google Summer of Code with Beacon Project Organization, where I worked. I designed a dashboard that was based on R and R Shiny that was being used to monitor the main project of Pecan. Like the main project of my Pecan organization was basically they are an integrated biological informatic toolbox uh, that consists of scientific workflows system to manage the immense amount of publicly available environmental data. Basically, they check for some factors and they check the whole environmental data. If everything, what is the quality, what is the thing like working on the what are the perfect quality of it. For that, they were using a soil data. Like they were checking if the this soil is fine, if there is any problem here or anything like that. So the in this session, I'll be covering three things. That is, what is GSoC, why GSoC, and how you can increase your chances to get selected in Google Summer of Code. But before that, let me tell you about open source project. As it's a it's a word which you will be hearing. It's a thing that you will be contributing the whole time after the session. Like for Google Summer of Code is all about open source contribution. So basically, what open source is, in simple words, open source is basically a project whose source code is made available to the public, where anyone can raise an issue, solve an issue, use and modify the codes. They can run and build the whole programming language, whole code and whole websites, or anything which application is being built on the open source. And the main pros of open source is you get to learn new skills. You can use your skills to solve others problem. You can gain a deeper knowledge about the software that you are using. Like you can build it by yourself as well in your system. You can build your reputation, which is the most important part. Like if you are open source contributor, you get a chance to interact with other people who are working in open source from all over the world, which also helps you in growing in your career as well. Yeah. So moving towards the Google Summer of Code. Okay. So Google Summer of Code is a global program focused on introducing students to open source software development. Like what their initiative is, they try to attract students toward open source contributions. It's an initiative by Google that helps organizations like connecting with the students and getting them started with open source projects. And basically, as a part of this program, organizations provide you mentors who assist you throughout the whole process of the Google Summer of Code, from learning about the community to contributing code to your evaluations and everything. Like they will tell you how you have to contribute, how you can get like not the basic thing how you will get started with open source, but they will guide you throughout the project. Like whenever you are facing anything, they will guide you, they will help you. Although all over, or like whole summer, which is around 2 3 months of the program. Like this year it was 10 weeks, and last year it was 12 weeks. So they will guide you throughout the time, throughout the process. So the next thing is basically the whole idea about this program, Google Summer Code, is to encourage students to get involved in open source contributions. And one more important thing, this is like Google Summer of Code is an internship program, not an internship program. Like the reason I said this is many people consider Google Summer of Code as an internship program, but it's a mentorship program. Here you don't have to work under pressure, like if I won't solve this problem then I'll be in trouble or anything like that, what actually happens in office. So as an intern, but the reason what really happens here in Google Summer of Code is you get to learn new things under guidance of mentors who assist you with every obstacle that you will face while completing the project. So that's why I'm saying it's a mentorship program. So if you are facing any problem while contributing, then you can contact the mentor directly. So the next thing is why Google Summer of Code. Well, basically, there are 3 points that will clear your doubt of why you should apply for Google Summer of Code, what will be the profit, and what are the perks of Google Summer of Code. The first thing is you will have a chance to interact with and be a part of an amazing community. And in that community, mentors and community members are experts in their field, and getting an opportunity to connect with them is really incredible. So the second thing is you get to work on a real world project, which is basically like it's not just a regular project that we build in as a minor or major project in colleges. It's a project that is being used by several other developers. Like talking about my project is being used by the whole developer community of my organization for tracking their whole system. So it's like that ki your code and your work is being will be used by every developers. In fact, the upcoming developers too, who will start contributing on that organization. And the third thing, you won't be working as a free, like Google pays you a decent amount for working through whole summer. This year it was paid. We were paid for around $1,500, and last year due to COVID, and last year it was $3,000. So they pay you a very good amount of money for working and on their projects and spending your time. Yeah, so that's about GSoC, why GSoC. And the next thing, which is the most important part, is how you can increase the how you can get into the GSoC. There are 5 points that you should consider that will help you and increase your chance to getting selected in Google Summer of Code. And I'll be covering every point and will show you on the live screen as well, like how everything works, how you can find the project. So the first 5 points that I will tell you is the first point is finding the right project, which is really important as you will be working the whole summer on STEM or the same project. So finding the right project is the first most important thing when it comes to Google Summer of Code. Then second thing is connecting with the mentors, which is also really important, and you have to make a good impression as well. So in order as it will increase your whole chances, like it will help you with getting selected in Google Summer of Code. Third thing is getting involved in the community. As this, the whole thing is about community, getting interacted with community. You have to interact with community as well. You have to work with the community as a team player. And the fourth and five most important thing is fourth is start solving the issues, which will be after getting involved in the community, after getting learned about the project, after you learn about the whole project, you go through the whole project, you find the bugs and features you have to add. You can use your own creativity to start solving issues and contribution. And the fifth and the most important part of Google Summer Code is proposal, which is really important. So in the next slides, I'll be covering. I'll start with the finding the right project thing, and then we'll move toward the other things. So let's start with the project. So like I said, project plays an important role when it comes to Google Summer of Code. And what my tip is like when finding a project, you should look for two things. First one is you should find a project that interests you as well, as you will be working for a really long time on the project, starting from if I'll tell you that you should start working finding a project from now onwards itself. Like there are many competitors, so you'll have to start working on a project. So you'll have to start finding your organization and a project that will suit you, that will interest you, that you will be interested in.
Hey Akhil, just
Yeah.
sorry for interruption. Just wanted to let everyone know, people, there is a queue at the bottom right, which is for the Q&A section. If you have any questions from Akhil, please basically put it over here, and Akhil will be able to take them up. And we will be doing some on and off fun polls in between, so feel free to answer them just for general knowledge about GSoC. Thank you, Akhil. Please continue.
Oh yeah. Okay. Take. So the second thing is while looking for project, though you have to check if there are multiple competitors already working on that project. Like if there are more than two competitors, then I'll suggest to do not check that particular project. So the first thing is like while checking for competitions, you have to look for a project and organization where you have really less competition, more than one, max to max two competitors, as it will increase your chances. If and it also increase you everything, like you will get to interact with the community on the same project and the mentor as well. So when I'll tell you about the story with what happened with me when I chose a project on our organization. I chose a project and I started working, and then I got to know like there was one competition though of one competitor who was already working, but I chose that project. And after solving two to three obstacles, I found out that the mentor and he was working from last 1 year on that project. So at that point, I really had less chances of getting selected in that project. So at that time, I just switched to Pecan project, and I was also working in Pecan project from. I got to know about Pecan project, I guess, around the same time, which was November and December of 2020. So I started working on a project too. Like it was a JavaScript project first, and then we moved to a new project which was R Shiny. Like I was working on both of the project, and one was new, and the other was an existing project. So I'll just move to how to find a right project. So the first thing of finding a right project is to you have to there is site which you can search in Google, like Google Summer of Code, and the first site which you will get is Google Summer of Code Archive. Here you'll get a list of all the projects and organizations. So I'll just share my screen and tell you about the. I'll just show you live how you can find a good project and how you can choose organizations. So just a second. Oh yeah. So this is the site. Is it visible? Okay, so this is the site of Google Summer of Code, and here you can find the list of the whole archive of all the years that Google Summer of Code has been organized. So the this is the latest one, which is of 2021, where I worked. So all you have to do is just the click the button of View to 2021, and you will get the list of all the organizations like the who participated in 2021. So you'll get a list of total organizations, and you can use the filter category for filtering according to your domain. If you have any domain, then it will be much better. Like if you are working in web, you can just choose your web, all the community of web. Then here are the list of web organizations that are working on web projects. So all you have to do is just go through the organizations and find a good project which will help you in working in the project. And for again one more thing, like while choosing an organization, check for their past contributions as well, like if they were available in past or not. Check for 2 to 3 years, so like if they are coming continuously, like what happens. So sometimes you keep working on an organization, and at the last moment you get to know that this organization won't be coming this year, like after the Google releases the list of organizations that will be participating in that year. So for that, while finding an organization as well, if you start now, I'll suggest to go with 2 to 3 organizations, and you will have a backup plan. Like if this organization won't come, then you can participate in the another one. So you should start with contributing a 2 to 3 organization in order to rapidly increase your chances of getting selected in Google Summer of Code. So the next thing is after searching for project, which is like after you click on any organization, let's take Chromium. So when you will select the organization, there will be a list of view, you can click on view projects, and these are the projects that were in 2021. So you can just click on any project you want to check, and just click on the get link or organization page. Just a second. Okay, just open the get the code button, and you can use you can try to finding the GitHub or any link of that particular organization on. Let me just check. So you can just open GitHub. Yeah, so basically this is the organization page of Chromium. From here you can find the list of all the projects. So just to select the project that you want to work on, or any project. Like I'm not just saying ki, just select the project which you will be working. Sometimes you will get a new project as well. So what you will have to show that you are contributing in this organization. The mentors knows you, the community members also knows you. Then it will be fine. It will be really helpful. So just choose your project, and then just go with their issues and everything. Just go with all the project and the code bases, and they will know like if a particular project interest you are interested in, just start working on that. So the next thing is like after finding a project, the next main important thing is like contacting the mentors. So what happens like after you have done with finding a project, hunting the project, then what you'll have to do is find the contact of mentors who were working last year on this project, or any Slack channels or GitHub channels which they have, so that you can contact them. Like if you face any problem, or for making a good impression in front of mentors as well. So what you have to do is just check for their mentor details or Slack channels, whatever they are using, whatever medium they are using, and then you can just try connecting with them. Like let me just check for all. You can find everything from the Google Summer of Code page itself. So let's just check any blog or whatever they are using. Basically, what happens is like you have 3 to 4 options that they usually use. First is mailing list. Second is Slack or GitHub channel, or third is direct mail, or any, or they can work on that GitHub also. So you have to find that particular thing. If it is available, you can just find on about the project and the mentors, and you can contact directly. Like where is- just organizations. Yeah, so they have a mailing list here, or you can just check the mailing list, and then yeah, so they are using groups, Google Group for Google mailing list for contacting and having all the conversations about the project. So you can either just find the mentor's detail for that particular project and contact them or mail them anywhere. Like, hey, I'm interested in this project and I want to contribute and all. So one more thing while contacting a mentor is like first try to solve some obstacles, some problem, or get familiar with the code. It will help you in encouraging or making your expression good expressions or actually it will help in improving your impression. You will make a good impression if you are already familiar with the code, you are already solving, rather than just putting a message, hey, I want to contribute, please suggest me some good issues. You can do that, but when you there is no issue present already, either you can try finding any issue or creating an issue, or you can just ask them, hey, I want to contribute, but I'm not able to find any good first beginner level issue. So what you can do, uh, yeah, so what you can do is just to first look for a issue on their project page, like here, if I just talk about
Hey,
Chromium.
Akhil,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. There are some questions from the audience as well. It
just
would
a
be great if
second.
you can go through that as well.
Just a second. Okay.
So, Daksh has asked how early should you start looking for the project?
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So that's so basically I'll say to you to start by the end of October or November, as there are many, you have to explore many organizations and their projects. So it will be really helpful if you for you if you just start with the end of the October or starting of November, so that you can cover 2 to 3 organizations. You can start contributing and get familiar with their communities. So I'll suggest you to start with October end or maybe November, start of the November, first week of November. You can start working and looking for the projects and contributing in the organizations.
Shreya is asking, is it necessary to have a good knowledge about any tech stack to participate in GSoC?
See, what happens here, like in Google Sound of Code, you can't just give a proposal like without knowing anything. You can't just make a fiction like, hey, I don't know this thing, but I want to participate. Yeah, you can participate, but even if you are familiar with a small portion of that particular tech stack, you can try learning and you can just try participating. Maybe it will increase you a chance. Like, or I will tell you about my experience. I was selected for a project that was based on R, and I was just familiar with R. But I knew how things in R work and how everything will work. So I just participated. I just created what are the achievable things. I just wrote in the proposal that were achievable, and it after I was selected, I started learning R as well. Simultaneously, I started contributing and learning. You get to learn many things, and like I mentioned in the first slide as well, it's a mentorship program, not an internship program. So you can just keep working and keep learning.
Talal is asking, how much coding does one need to know before they are ready to contribute in these organizations that are participating in GSoC?
Before coding, you will have to know one thing, which is about open source and all about Google, Git, and GitHub as well. You can use any platform like GitLab. And talk about the programming language, you should be familiar with programming language. But if you are expert, if you are already working, then it will be helpful for you. Like if a beginner is starting and working on a language and he is learning as well as working at the same time, then he or she will face many obstacles. But if you know the language, how you have worked already, you have experience in that particular language, then for you it will be easy. It won't be much of issue for you. So I'll say you to get familiar, like even if you are familiar at a good level as well as you, so choose your domain which will interest you and check for a project and language that you really know.
Okay, Ahaming is asking that he only makes light UI element to ease his project. So does that count in GSoC as well. So, is there any organization which participates in UI elements or something similar to that?
Yeah, for UI, I guess there is one or two organizations, but it's not only just UI. You will have the code of part as well. So I'll say just get familiar with web development or Android development, whatever you are interested in, and then you can find a project that you that where you have exposure of UI and as well as coding. At the end of the day, we have to code for open source. And also, you can use your UI UX skills for implementing that in the real world. So it will be better if you start learning some code as well for Google Summer of Code, and you can use your where you can usually use your UI skills.
Okay, so Daksh is asking that he develops in Python, but he does not have any experience in real life projects. So, will it be helpful to apply for GSoC with only problem solving experience?
That's basically if you know if you are intermediate in Python, it's a really good thing as you can find many projects based on Python, which are from web to AI, ML or data science as well. So you have to sometimes what I to increase your chances. What I there should be a project like your past contribution and project in your just a second. Yeah. So, like for contribution, you will have to show your past project as well. So, what you can say, you are an intermediate at Python. So, do one thing, just work on some project, like any project which will make you familiar to manage a project or to work on a project. So it and since they are a real world project that are used by many other programmers as well. So first you start with some minor project, like some cool project on Python you can use for web for backend you can use Flask and Django and something like that, or maybe you can go with the machine learning things. So yeah, just get started with some projects and then you can try applying for GSoC. It will increase your chances as well. Yeah.
Akhil, now there are some similar questions. They are similar that, as per Dak's questions, that people are into problem solving with Java or into problem solving with C++, but how they can contribute to GSoC, how can they get started with
So
GSoC?
I guess we are running a little bit over time. Let's do one
Yes.
thing. Let Akhil complete his presentation first, and then at the end, when we have Akhil and Shibai both, we'll do a panel discussion wherein all these questions can be answered. Does that sound fine, Akhil?
Yeah, that will be
Okay,
perfect
great,
actually.
great. Thanks. Akhil, can you do one favor? Just if you can reshare the screen once after stopping and sharing
Uh,
mine again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Just a second. Okay, so is it visible?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
So the next thing was contacting the mentors. Like I said, you can look for Gitter channel, Slack, or mailing list, whatever you find on the webpage of Google Summer of Code. In the Google Summer of Code archives, when you open an organization, there will be an option for mailing list or chat group. So you can just click and join their channels, and then there you can start discussing with the mentors as well with the whole community. And the second point which I covered, like do not simply ask your mentors or community for helping without doing some works on your own. Like first do some research, like you start with contributions, or either you are facing a problem, just ask them that hey, I'm facing this problem which is related to them, so they will solve you, they will help you in solving that problem, rather than just asking hey, I'm in Python and I'm facing like a basic problem which you can find on Google as well. So instead of that, just to get familiar with the code and then try contacting the mentors, it will help you in making a good impression. And the third thing is dive into the code yourself and ask them questions when you get stuck, which is like I said, first go with the code base, learn about the code, read about the code, read about the documentation of their documentations, how to install and how to everything, how to work on your local system. And then if you are facing any problem, then contact them, contact the mentors that you are facing this problem. So the next part after contacting and getting interacted with mentors is start coding part. Like if you are working on an old project, then there will be many issues. You can look for new bugs as well on your own, using your own creativity and your own mind, and you can add more features, and then you can try solving the existing issues, and which are usually marked with the labels of beginner friendly or good first issues. Try to look for that particular issue, and then you can start fixing that issue, so it will be counted as a contribution, and as it will help them. And then after contributing, ask the mentor ki, hey, I have added a code, I made a PR, and you can please review this. And then if they will review, and if they will find if it is perfect and it helps them solving that problem, then they will merge in their whole repository. So the next thing is writing a proposal. This is the most important part. So having a decent proposal is really essential when it comes to getting selected in Google Summer of Code. The proposal should be achievable. Like I said, you shouldn't write any fictions. Yeah, I can do this thing, but at a point you don't know how to pull this thing up. Even if thing is possible, that you can pull off this feature in future after learning some things, after getting familiar with something, then you can add that. Yeah, I will learn. I will do this thing and everything. You do not just write, yeah, I can go on a moon or anything like that. So the next thing is I'll tell you about what you should include in your proposal, and what are the best practices for proposal. So the first thing is find a proposal template of your organization. So after doing finding the organizations on their web pages, you will find a template. Most of the organizations have their own template for proposal. So just look for that if there is any. And if there is not any, then you should create your own proposal, which are basically, just a second. Oh yeah. So you can use your own creativity to create a proposal. So the first thing what you can do is in your proposal should include your name and contact information, which is the most important part, and then a title and short summary about your project, and then you have to give an introduction about yourself, your past contributions, your projects, and where you have worked, what are your interests apart from coding as well. You can write everything, every minor details about you, so the organization, the mentors will get familiar to you. Yeah, you can work on this project, you have worked here, you have worked past in past. And the fourth thing is project and past contribution, fourth and fifth, which I said. And then the sixth thing, which is deliverables. That is basically like what you will do during the whole summer, during the whole programming time. What are the things that you will achieve, what are the things that you will fix, and every part that you will be covering, it is the main part that will help you in getting selected with Google Summer of Code. While writing the deliverables, try to add some in codes, some images and visualizations. And then the seventh one is work timeline. So I'll just share my screen and show you the proposal which I created, and what are the things that I had covered. So just give me a second. Let me just share my screen. So this is my proposal. What I, as you can see, The first thing was name and contact information, project info, a little bit about project, then bio, and which is my introduction part, like I said, and then you have your past projects that you had worked on, and then the past contribution which I did before applying for Google Summer of Code in the same organizations. Or you can mention your overall contribution of open source, and then you can add all your contact information, student affiliation about your college, and as they might verify. So you will have to include all the details. Then the project details. So the main project as well. It was the main project detail which I was working on first, and then the what deliverables you will give, like how you can do, what will be the things that you will be completing during the whole summer. These were the things that I completed, that I made, and I completed after getting selected in Google Summer of Code. And there were few changes. Like what happens is you make a proposal. So after getting selected, there are many few things that get changed. So then you will have to talk to the mentor, and he will tell you, yeah, these things will be changed, and what are the things that you will work. So do not worry about deliverables as well that you have to complete. There are few things that get changed at the end, at the beginning of Google Summer of Code. So after that, you can mention the technologies and skills that you will use in for completing this project. Then you have to give the phases of the project. Like you can get this on Google Summer of Code timeline that will be released soon. And then you have the timeline. So here in the timeline, you have to cover everything, that what you will work and how you will work, and what are the things that you will complete before evaluations. So these were the things. For me, the first thing, before the coding part began on June 7. So I took the part of week 1 to week 3 before the first evaluation, and then I added, yeah, I can complete these things. And then the second 2 weeks, 2 weeks before the evaluation, I added these things can be completed. And in the evaluation, which was the phase 1 evaluation, so I gave them, yeah, these are the things I can work on, and these are the things which will be completed before the first evaluation. As you After that, I made another the whole thing. So like, what will be my plans for the after the evaluation, first evaluation, and before second evaluation, which was final for this year. And then just a management progress, like yeah, I'll be working with them and all. So this is the basic overview of the proposal, which you can also find on my final report of Google Summer of Code. I'll just put this link in the chat box. Yeah, so I have shared a link in the chat box. You can just check from that to check my final report, and you will find all my details about the project code, and the project report proposal as well, and what are the obstacles which I faced during this project timeline. So I guess that's all from my side. Uh, yeah.
All right, great. Thanks a ton. Thank you so much, Akhil. Yeah,
Thanks.
Lavnish is here. Lavnish, please, over to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Akhil.
so
So,
much, Akhil.
I have some quick
I have
questions
some
from
quick
you.
questions from you.
So,
So,
what I just wanted to
what I
ask
just wanted to
was,
ask was, Lavnish, there is some
what were
echo.
the? Sorry.
There
Uh,
is some echo, I guess.
just a second. Is it good now?
Is it good now?
Hello.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay.
I just wanted
I
to
just
ask.
wanted to ask.
Lavnesh,
Yes.
wait.
Yes.
There is still some issue.
Okay. Okay. Just a second. Let
Just
me
a second.
rejoin
Let
the
me
stage.
rejoin the stage.
Is it better now, Akhil?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. I guess Lavnish has some issue. Okay, no worries. I'll Shivai, if you're there, I've sent you an invite to the stage. If you can please join. Everyone, Shivai has been a mentor at GSoC. So let us say you are well versed with the code and you're planning to mentor other people. Although it is going to be a little different, very much different, I would say, as compared to what you do at GSoC. But you'll be on the other side of it. So, Shivai, if you have not received that invite as a pop-up, please, if you can call Lavnish. Otherwise, okay, Shivai is already on the stage. Yes, Shivai is here. Great, great, great to see you. Uh, all right. So, Shiva, if you can begin with a brief introduction about you, and then, as planned, if you can tell about your mentorship experience. And after that, all of us will be okay. Shiva, I refreshed. I'll send an invite again. He's joining again. Yes, Shiva, I've invited you again.
All right. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're visible, you're audible. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you become a mentor? And then, once your session is completed, we'll have Akhil and you, Lavnish, will take up all the questions from the chat. And,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Arpan and Navneesh and everyone from the community to for inviting me and Akhil. It's a really great session so far, Akhil. I mean, a lot of the points that I wanted to cover were already covered, but I would love to also share from a mentor's perspective how can students apply and what really Google Scholar of Code really is, right, from a perspective of a mentor. So, a very quick introduction about myself. I've been a Google Scholar of Code mentor for the past couple of years. Last year, I was a mentor with Jenkins with the machine learning plugin that is being created and with CNCF. And this year I was with TensorFlow and MediaPipe. So a lot of my work sort of revolves around machine learning. And I've been a regular contributor to the TensorFlow community and to the MediaPipe community, specifically with respect to TensorFlow JS and building machine learning on the web. So, and doing a lot of ML ops as well. To answer the first question that was given by Arpan, is that like how can you become a mentor? So there are basically two different ways. The first one is that you are, and the biggest prerequisite is that you should have domain knowledge in whatever project that you're going to be mentoring. And second is that you have been regularly contributing to that particular project or to that particular community. So for me, specifically, I had been a regular contributor and I had been regularly contributing to TensorFlow. So I was made one of the mentors for the TensorFlow JS project. And that's something that I'll be continuing over the next few years as well. The second one is that you should always have good domain knowledge, right? So I'll just quickly also share my screen and also share my point of view on if you are a student, then what are the things that you should keep in mind while when you're filling up your proposal or you're trying to get selected for Google Center of Code. So let me just quickly share my screen and yeah, I think it should be fine now. Please just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
All
Yes.
right. Yeah, so I'm just here to sort of share my perspective on what exactly is the perspective of a mentor, right? So first, let's try to understand what really is the role of a mentor. So the mentor for any particular project. So as Akhil mentioned, that there are a lot of different organizations. Each organization will have a number of different projects. Now, for each of these projects, there are one, two, three, four, depending on the organization and depending on the project. There might be anywhere from 1 to 4 mentors involved with that particular project. Now, if it is a more complex project or it's a larger scale project, you might see more number of mentors being involved, right? But essentially, the most important aspect or the most important role of the mentor is to really just guide the student. So, as I mentioned, that the mentor will be having a good knowledge about the project that is being built, right? So let's say I take the example of a TensorFlow project. So this time in TensorFlow, in Google Center of Code, we had a TensorFlow JS specific project that was making the TensorFlow JS backend with WebAssembly better, right? So for me personally, I had been working a lot with WebAssembly, and I had contributed to a few of the PRs, specifically for the backend of TensorFlow JS. So I was made a mentor, and the entire project was surrounded around making improvements in that project. So once you put out a project as, let's say, proposal, and that gets selected, and you are made a mentor, right? You have to, of course, at that point of time, really just guide the community. So if anyone is coming up with some certain questions, you have to answer those, and you have to make sure that yes, that if someone is creating a pull request, you're able to look at that pull request, you can review it, and you can see, okay, whether it is actually good enough to be merged or not, right? So you're sort of handling the role in two ways. One is of a project maintainer, and one of actually like a guide. So that is also something that translates into when you are reviewing the different proposals that are coming up for the project that you are sort of mentoring, right? And you review, and of course I'll just come on to what are the different things that one should keep in mind when you are actually submitting a proposal, and what are the things that a mentor sort of keeps in light when they are actually reviewing any proposal, right? But now coming into the phase of the actual program itself. So the two major aspects when you are actually inside of the Google Center of Code project, like a program has started. So the first one is that you have to guide the student at all times. Now it could be a technical doubt that a student might have. It could be during the times when a student feels low, right? You have to mentor them so that if their performance goes down, or they feel overwhelmed, you have to be that guide and just sort of give them that confidence boost so that they can continue working. And of course, at the same time, you also want to ensure that the project is going in the right direction. So not only in terms of like the proposal and the timelines that have been set for the project, but also ensuring that all the different kinds of contributions that are being made to that particular project are being made in the right sense, are being made in the right direction, right? So those are some of the perspectives of basically what exactly is the role of a mentor when they are sort of taking up the role of the mentorship for any particular project. Now let's just understand from a perspective of what really is the mentor proposal review process, right? So we'll look at during the process, during the time when the uh, students are submitting their proposals, and then when it comes to actually reviewing the proposals and selecting the best proposal for the project that will be undertaken during the Google Center of Code. So from a mentor's perspective, um, let's say there's usually a time period of 1 month in which the students have to submit a proposal. Now, some of the expectations that we as mentors have is that whosoever is going to be contributing to the project that we have sort of been put up, that student must have a good technical knowledge about the project. The student is not just going to leave directly or immediately after the Google Center of Code period has ended, and they are actively taking part in community as well. So they are actively helping out the community. They are answering queries, right? They are asking questions. So they're active. They're not just there for the sake of submitting a proposal, because these organizations are not like funded, or they are not like getting some money, right? Like some crazy millions of dollars. These are like a lot of times the Google or such kind of large organizations, they are supporting a lot of these organizations, right? A lot of them are non-for-profit organizations. So they need developers, they need contributors who can stay with them for long periods of time. So that is something that we do keep in mind during the review process as well. So when you are at that time, like let's say you're a student and you're willing to contribute to a project, right? So just get started, as Akhil said, that just give a brief introduction, but then before you really interact with the mentors, do your homework of at least understanding what the project really is all about. And the usual steps that will involve is that having at least some decent knowledge in version control systems, that is Git, knowing some decent knowledge about the programming language that is being used in that particular project. Again, you don't have to be like an expert, but at least know some basics, so that when you actually look at the code base of the project that you want to contribute to, you can at least understand, okay, like, hey, like if I'm looking at a Python project, this is how we declare functions in Python, this is how we declare a variable in Python, right? So at least having that basic level knowledge. Now, apart from that, the homework will also involve that, okay, you have like, let's say, deployed the project locally, you have at least gone through the readme, you have gone through the contributing guidelines, and you know at least what are the things that are involved in that project. So that at least, for example, let's say if I'm talking about a project like a project by Flutter, right, by the Dart community, so you know the basics of, okay, what that project is meant to be, that is what is something that is really important to keep in mind. Now, after that, you can always reach out to mentors at any point of time with any query. Now, whether it's like just being able to understand certain aspects of the code, or you're just wanting help in getting some good first issues to get started with, that can be signed to you, right? Because usually the project maintainers are also, a lot of times the mentors are also project maintainers, right? So you can always reach out to them and you can ask them, right? Now, another thing that like mentors really appreciate is that you are regularly taking feedback. So during the process, or during the time when you are submitting a proposal, before you make the final proposal, it's always recommended that you do share your draft proposal for review with the mentors as well. And usually what the mentors will do is that they will review your proposal, and then they will give you certain feedback. So if you're able to take that feedback and able to inculcate that inside of your proposal, that will be a good step to take, right? And regularly taking feedback from the mentors. And again, one thing to keep in mind is that make sure that you are cognizant of the time of the mentors as well, because a lot of times it's not necessary that you might receive like an immediate response. And that is the reason that why a lot of the different projects usually have multiple mentors, right? Depending on the timeline, the time zone, right, based on their availability as well. So they are doing it usually free of cost, right? They are doing it as a like on a purely more voluntary basis to help guide the students, to help guide the project. So make sure that you are you give your sort of cognizant of that fact, and you respect that. Now, coming to the final like aspect of it, and that is during the proposal review process, right? Once everyone has submitted their proposals, what are some of the things that mentors specifically sort of have a look at? So the most important aspects of the proposal, as Akhil had already laid down very beautifully, is that from the proposal, the mentors are really trying to understand how well does the student have an understanding about the project that they are going to be contributing to, right? Because we probably might have 20, 30, 40, 50 proposals for one project, and only one has to be selected. Some other projects might have one or two different proposals, and we have to select. But ultimately, we want to select that particular project proposal which clearly showcases the two things. The first one is the technical expertise and the technical knowledge that a student has with regards to that project. So they really understand the project. They just haven't written down the steps, or they haven't just written down things for the sake of just submitting a proposal. And second is how much passionate is a student really about that particular project, right? So if a student is passionate, it will be seen in that particular proposal, right? They will be adding certain things that might actually not be there inside of the original project idea, right? You will be able to actually see that yes, their proposal really is showcasing that yes, they have the talent, they have the understanding about the project. So as Akhil mentioned, that whenever you are submitting a proposal, some of the key things that mentors sort of look out for is always your of course, I mean, your personal projects and your bio, like that is secondary. The first one is really what you have covered regarding the project, and then also the timeline. Because so let's cover both of these facts, right? So the first one is that what have you covered inside of your actual project proposal regarding the project itself. So how well can you articulate the project in your own words, and what when you are talking about, okay, like these are the features that I would like to implement, these are the bug fixes that I would like to implement, and you're let's say sharing some graphs, you're sharing some diagrams that showcase some architectural diagrams, right? So having those really puts a great impact on your project, because now you're really going at the system level of understanding, okay. So it could be like, for example, Akhil was right now showing integration testing. I guess Akhil, you're showing about integration testing. So you can explain how can integration testing be involved in that particular project. Now, let's say if it's a completely new feature, you not only showcase it from perspective of like some paragraph and which you actually mentioned, okay, like these are the things I want to include in my project, but you're also including a few other things like like an architectural diagram, like some kind of schematics, right? That can really showcase, okay, you understand, okay, like if I want to implement, let's say, a new component in React, this is my existing code base, this is how I will be in, like, adding a new component in React, and then this is how the output would sort of look like. And that then sort of being able to add certain code snippets, because code snippets are direct reflection of how well are you able to understand the project from a code perspective as well, right? So far you have showcased, okay, how well can you really understand the project, and you're able to articulate that in words. Then you can showcase some schematic diagrams that showcase your overall understanding from an architectural, from a deeper perspective of how the overall project works, and then you're adding code snippets as well. And this really is a great way to showcase your understanding about the project. Now the other one is that at at times, let's say if it's a completely new project, then of course probably you might not be able to show some open source pull request. But let's say it is a more mature project and there are just some additions that you're making to the project. If you're able to create certain pull requests, if you're able to contribute to that particular project well before the open source, like your well before the proposal, that is a direct reflection that yes, you are comfortable with the project. The mentor has confidence that yes, the student can contribute because they have already contributed to that particular project beforehand. That is why like everyone recommends that you should really just start contributing to the projects that you're familiar with, or you're passionate about, or it's something that you want to contribute about well before the open source, like or the Google Summer Code period actually begins, because that gives two things, right? First one, it showcases your willingness to contribute to that project, and not just for the sake of Google Summer Code. And that also gives the mentors a good visibility for your work that you're doing, right? Because a lot of times, a lot of the proposals will be proposals of those particular people, or students who the mentors might not really know. But if you have been regularly contributing, mentors will actually know, okay, like, yeah, this student has previously contributed. So that will give you a good idea about how you can look at the proposals, right? So those are the two key aspects. And of course, then if you're adding some personal projects, that's something that like if you have some really good projects that are sort of based on the project that you're applying for a proposal, and the maintainers or the mentors can actually look at those projects, and they can look at the kind of code style that you're having, or the kind of impact that particular project is building. So that's something that will add value to the project, right? So these are some of the most important aspects when it comes to how a mentor really looks at a proposal, right? So again, a mentor, and this is, at least this is how I look at it, and a lot of other mentors whom I have interacted with look at it, is that yes, the coding part, right? The student being able to really understand the project in and out, right? And being able to add, because now the other aspect of this is like your main content of the proposal is done. The next step is that you add a timeline. Now a timeline gives a clear picture, that how is a student really able to understand. Because whenever a project is selected for Google Summer of Code, the organization admins, the mentors, they do draft a rough timeline for the entire project, because of course they would want to finish that project during the Google Summer of Code timeline. So we as mentors do have an idea in mind, okay, this is what we can expect the student to complete in the first half of the Google Summer of Code project, and then in the second half. So that way we can evaluate the timeline also. A lot of times students, they concentrate on the major aspect of the entire proposal, but sometimes they just add a lot of things that do not make a lot of sense either in terms of like how much time they are actually willing to give to each project. So if you really have a good understanding about the project and you know, okay, what really to build, you can give adequate amount of time to each of those particular things. A lot of times review like proposals are rejected because of really inconsistent timelines or timelines that do not really make a sense. So timeline is also something that you have to keep in mind, and timeline can only be built when you have a good understanding of the project and you have interacted well with the mentor, with the mentors and with the project maintainers of that particular project, right? So that is something also that the mentors really have a close look at, right? And when you have done all of these things and how you can do it, you regularly contribute to the project, you regularly have a conversation with the mentors, and the mentors also then know, like, yeah, I mean, this student is regularly contributing. So those are some of the things that we as mentors try to keep a look at when students are submitting the proposals, and some of the things, some of the steps that you can follow if you're trying to apply as a student to sort of keep in mind from a mentor's perspective. Now, of course, I mean, I just had a few other slides in mind, right? Some things that you would be expected to have is a basic knowledge about Git, some programming knowledge, right? And of course, I mean, as a mentor, I would like to recommend everyone to just really get started by contributing by yourself, right? It could not necessarily be like just, contributing to a large scale project. You can really just create open source projects of your own, collaborate with your friends and contribute, right? And start contributing to your own projects. And of course, when you're jumping into an organization, it's really not just, okay, hey, like, I want to contribute to a project, right? Really just look out for open source issues and try to look at those. Take ownership of the fact that yes, you're contributing to an open source project, and take ownership. Express your interest in contributing to a, let's say, a particular issue. If you do come across some issues, if you're not able to really run them, then ask the project maintainers or the mentors your help. And this is usually the developer cycle that you would be having when you're contributing to any project, right? You take or you find issues, you ask that issue to be assigned to you, then try to fix that issue. In case you run into any issues, you can always ask members, mentors, maintainers for help, and then you submit a pull request. And this process will also be there in terms of the Google Summer of Code project program as well, right? You will be working on new things, and since it's open sourced, you will be following this kind of a life cycle during your project or during the time when you're actually taking part in Google Summer of Code as well. So yeah, I mean, those were actually some of the perspectives that I had in mind, right? Of course, in case we'll be taking up some of the questions, but in case you are interested to sort of reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Twitter, because I'm usually most available on Twitter at @howdevelop. But yeah, of course, with that in mind, those are some of the things that really matter a lot when a mentor is really sort of looking at the projects. So again, just to summarize, the two most important aspects that a maintainer or a project mentor is looking at is, does the student have a good knowledge of or a good understanding about the project that they are going to be contributing to? So the mentors, when they are selecting which particular project to proceed with or which particular proposal to proceed with the project, will be the one where they can really correlate to the student, or the student really can showcase through their proposal or through their contributions that they have made, that they truly understand the project and they have given a good timeline, right? They have given a timeline that makes sense, that aligns with the organization and the project itself. And secondly, that they can really see from the overall activity level of a student, that that student is going to be contributing them not just for Google Summer of Code. The student is not just there for the tag of Google Summer of Code. They're really there to contribute to that community, right? So those are the two most important pillars that really are something that the maintainers look out for students when students are contributing, right? A lot of times, something that I've seen as well is that students might not have contributed along, but even during that time when they are submitting the proposal, the kind of impact that you can create even during that small duration is something that you can do, right? It's definitely possible by the kind of pull requests that you're creating, you're actively taking part in the collaboration. You're collaborating with others, right? Because open source is really open for everyone, right? There's no vertical hierarchy that you see in companies that you are reporting to someone. It's really an open forum for everyone to come and collaborate and contribute, not only in terms of the code, but also contribute in terms of the architecture, in documentation. So maintainers or mentors will look out for those kind of contributions as well. And if you're showing interest in that, you're going to be likely get selected for a project. So with that in mind, I would like to conclude that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shivai, for the wonderful session, and thank you so much, Akhil, as well for the session. Now we'll move through the panel discussion, but before that, I would request the audience to follow Akhil and Shivai on Commoodle. So the links to their profile are on the chat section. You can follow them on Commoodle, and we have three announcements to make. So the first announcement is ki we are having the second event of this series on 29th of October. So that event will be focused on the organizations of data science. So if you are willing to participate in GSoC, particularly in data science or Python, you can join that event. The second organization that the second announcement that we want to make is we have launched a GSoC channel as well. On that particular channel, we discuss many things around GSoC. So I'm sharing the link to that particular GSoC channel as well in the chat section. You can join the GSoC channel in the chat, and just a second. You can join the GSoC channel and you can ask your doubts or queries or anything regarding GSoC in that particular channel. And the last and the most interesting one, let me share my screen first. So just a second, yeah. Just a second. I'm just opening the form. Okay, you can register now for the event. The form is open now. Okay, so we keep organizing some amazing fun contests. So we are up with the share your build contest right now. So what you can do is each and every one of us keep making some side projects. So to bring those projects in the limelight, we have started the share your build contest. So this contest is about making your projects good. The best projects will get featured on our newsletter, and uh, the winner will get a t-shirt every week. So this I am just sharing the link to share your build. Just a second. So you can share any project of yours, whether it's on machine learning, it's on data science, it's on Flutter, it's on Android development, it's on Swift or iOS project. You can share any of your project. And please make sure to add the screenshots to your projects and the GitHub repository link to your project. Now we'll start taking over the questions asked by the audience. Okay. So okay, so before that, we had some polls as well. Okay, so let me share the results of those poll here.
Can you unshare your screen? Yeah, that's
Yes,
fine.
I'm sharing the results of the poll. Okay, so I have shared my screen again. So the first poll was the fun poll, that what did the audience have in their lunch? So these are the answers for that. So someone has pizza, someone has idli, someone has Maggie, someone has had dosa. Someone didn't have their lunch yet. Okay. So the next question was on which tech stack the audience works. Okay, so I think people didn't answer this question. No issues. The next question was is GSoC an internship? So Akhil covered this in the session as well, but still we have got three wrong answers. They said that GSoC is an internship. Okay. So, what is the duration of GSoC? So, someone has written 10 weeks, someone has written 12 weeks, 3 months, 3 to 5 months, 6 months, 8 months. So, Akhil, what is the duration of GSoC? What is the correct duration of GSoC?
Yeah, so basically this year it was for 10 week, and last year it
Okay.
used to be 12 week for every year. But due to COVID, they reduced the payment as well to 50% and they reduced the work to 10 week only.
Okay. 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 So, now we'll start taking questions from the chat section. So, let's start. So if you have any questions, you can drop them on the chat sections. Okay, Shivai, there is a question from you. Shreya is asking, are mentors given any stipend?
So it depends on the organization to organization. So Google provides each organization an amount of a stipend for being able to conduct activities. Now that fund can be given to the mentors as well, or it can be used within the organization. So it really depends on how the organization itself is going to be using those funds. So it's not
Okay, so
necessary.
Daksh is asking, as a mentor, what is your view on beginners? Would you accept beginners in your project?
See, this is something that we look at. So again, for us, as I mentioned, right, that there are two important aspects of selecting a project for Google Self Code, and that is the student technically sound, or do they showcase that they have the potential to learn and implement, right? And that how can you do that is that during the time when you are submitting your proposal, or before the time when during that process, that time duration when you are working on your proposal, if you're consistently coming back to to the mentors and asking them to review your proposal, and you can showcase that yes, you're able to implement those changes, implement those suggestions into your proposal, and you're showing that interest, right? That is something that is more important to the mentors rather than someone just outright showing some kind of arrogance. So we really just want students who are willing to learn, who are willing to give their all for the project, right? And they are enthusiastic in contributing to the community as well, right? Because as Akhil said, that it's not a single-handed internship, right? That you're not interning with a company whose perspective is just to get the work from you and of course mentor you, but it's more sort of community program where we are inviting over students to really learn and then implement and being able to contribute to open source, right? So definitely if it is a beginner also, and but they do have that feeling in them of really, or they're really passionate about the project, they want to learn and implement and become better, we can definitely look at those. And this is something that we had actually done during the project proposal that we were selecting for Jenkins. We had a couple of really good proposals, but we hadn't really ever interacted with those students. So we didn't know like what is the student going to do, whether they are actually going to be like communicating at all with us or not, because we just got like the proposal and we didn't really have any conversation or whatsoever, because a lot of organizations will also have like meet and greets to take up questions from students during the time when they are submitting their proposals, right? So but at the same time we also saw some organization some proposals where students did not really necessarily have the best technical proposal, but we saw that the amount of interactions that they were having with us, we had the confidence that yes, they will continue that same kind of level of conversations and communication with us during the GSoC period and after the GSoC period, right? So that is what really matters a lot. So it's not just your technical expertise.
Okay, so Puneet is asking that he is an intermediate Java developer with little to no real world knowledge. So, can he get selected into GSoC if he start contributing right now with just problem solving skills? So, I think Akhil and Shiva, you both can answer this question. Okay, Akhil, you can start first.
Puneet, first thing, it's not an exam that you will crack. So it's a mentorship program. Like I said before, it's an initiative by Google to connect students and make them familiar with the open source contribution. So even if you are not doing GSoC, you can still start with open source. And talking about Java and your take stack, so there are tons of organizations. There are many organizations which prefers Java as their language. So you can just start exploring that organizations and their projects, and then since you are intermediate with Java, your concepts are already clear, I hope so, and you can just start solving their basic issue, which will be based on the. You can try using Google. You can take help from Google as well. You can use a Stack Overflow for getting the data like how things are working and to know more about that particular problem, and you can try solving that part. Like I said, there you can find a issue which is marked as beginner friendly or good first issue, and there you will be, if your logics are clear in Java, then you can easily solve that problems. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to Akhil's point, it really does not matter how much expertise that you have. You can always just start contributing and just start with the most basic contributions. And as you become more familiar with the project, you can learn the concepts, right? So it's not important that, or it's not necessary that only after you have done certain amount of programming you can start contributing to the project, right? You can still do non code contributions to the particular project before you start with the code contributions, right? So that is something that you can keep in mind.
Okay, so Harjas has a question. I have experience in Manstack. Will I be able to find projects or the projects are based on Python only? Okay, so Harjas, we are going to have a event on the web development organization super soon as well. The next event is on data science and Python organization, and the event after that is on web development organizations. So you can stay tuned, and you will be able to find many web development organizations and GSoC as well. As Akhil has gone through the archive website, you can filter in that apply a filter in that website. Like I have to apply. I have this tech stack and I have to work in this organization. Okay, so I think we are running a bit late. So thank you so much, Shivai, and thank you so much, Akhil, for attending this session. And I would request everyone to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter and support us by following us. So I have shared our social media handles in the chat section as well. You can follow us. And
And yes, super duper duper thanks for attending on a Friday. I know tomorrow is Saturday, so TGIF, and people might be looking to party tonight. But I guess this was useful, a lot useful information for everyone who's trying to begin with GSoC. This is the first in the series, and this is also our first ever event for Communal Developer Network as a community. So we are really, really grateful to the speakers, to everyone who attended and is taking away some knowledge out of it. Do follow them. Do join the channel if you are actually looking to participate in GSoC, because we will be keeping this series continued for 2 or 3 months till GSoC announces results and everything, for any and every kind of support we can provide as a community. And
Puneet, Puneet is asking for the recording of the session. So
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
will
So
receive.
Puneet, if you check back after you receive the feedback email, if you check back on this same page again, YouTube recording will be embedded. Luckily, it is working fine today. Like, this is the first time we have started to stream on YouTube, and everything is working fine on Communal now. Apart from the initial technical glitch that was there, but from now onwards, I guess this will be working fine. So amazing, super cool, and I guess you've been a great audience, everyone, asking some really useful questions. And Shivai and Akhil have been really patient in taking them up and taking them, you through their journey. We'll probably soon have them again for some more guidance once we reach a point wherein people are submitting their proposals or maybe applying as a mentor. So maybe we could have some application review closed channel for them, wherein they can take it up, they can review, they can provide a feedback, not a public but a private channel, so that it remains confidential for people. Yes, mostly that is it. And this marks the completion of the event. We'll be back soon. And till then, have a great time. It's a festive season. Be safe, wear a masks, but enjoy.